What a miserable Sunday. Um, I'm Negative Niece. That is Harb. If you're listening, Harb is here in Nice. It is Sunday, March 29th, 2026. Just a terrible day if you're a Tennessee sports
Sunday,
fan.
bloody Sunday. It
Just
was bloody.
just it was bad. There was a lot of blood. There's a lot of blood.
There is so much orange blood spilled between Chicago and Nashville and Knoxville and Tuckahoe and everywhere you could think. Just
It's awful.
that's what bleeding hearts do. They bleed.
Um, just a miserable day. I mean, just on my end. I mean, and we're going to talk about uh, I keep wanting to say UConn because the UConn game was the last one on the Michigan game that Tennessee lost. Um, but I didn't expect us to win that game. But it's just like we were, 10 minutes in, and it was after that we were in it, but then it was over. And I just sat there the whole last 30 minutes of the game, and it was such a sharp contrast from the previous three games. First game against Miami, you're all into it. We're beating them. We took them down. Everybody's Cinderella story. Hot team coming
Smoke
into the
them.
tournament.
You smoke them.
Smoked them. I mean, they
Let's give them boys more credit. They
yeah,
smoked their ass.
they
Yeah.
smoked them. And then we come back. We beat a very good Virginia team, and you're sitting there watching it, and you're like, you're on edge every possession. And I'm coaching from the couch and super pumped when we won that game because Virginia's a very good basketball team. And then you turn around, albeit without their best player, you beat a really, really, really good Iowa State team, and you dictated your will to them. And I'm sitting there like I'm over at Slagle's house watching it. Bless his heart, he fell asleep in the second half. Me and his wife are trying not to yell too loud to wake him up, but I'm sitting there like I'm just all into it. And today it was like you're just sitting there staring at the TV. And my uncle sent this. I saw this tweet, and he sent it out to a couple group chats I'm in with him, and it said the tweet basically said, and you may have saw it, Harb. It said, "Watching this game right now is like watching your dog get put down,
But
except it lasts for 2.5 hours, and people are cheering." And
yeah.
that's what it felt like. Seriously, it's like
Yeah.
you putting your dog, or if you're a cat person, putting your cat down, whatever. That's what it was. It was just a miserable outing. And then you've got UT baseball choking it away again at Vandy, a program we've struggled to beat this year in anything. And then on my end, the freaking Cubs lost two out of three to Washington, the Nationals. Not a great way to start your season. I know it's 162 games and you're going to lose a series, but you want to come out, especially at home, win two out of three or win the series, just not competitive in two of the three games. I mean, they blew out Washington on Saturday, but opening day they got beat by 5 or 6 runs, and today they were down 6 or 8 to 2 at one point late in the game, and it's just like, how could this day get any worse? But Harbin, I'm in this squares game that my uncle puts on where you get I don't know if you're in it or not, um, but you get squares for the NCAA tournament, and you get the winning team score and the losing team score, and it's the final digit of both of those teams. Well, I won the UConn game today on that three-pointer. I have three for the winning team, two for the losing team. 72-70. Duke turns it over. UConn gets it back, hits a pretty much desperation three to go ahead 73-72. I win it. So salvaged part of the day, I guess. I think I won $100, $150. I don't know, something like that. So whatever, I guess, right?
Yeah. Um, I
What do
won
you
money
want?
on UConn today, so that was cool.
What about? Did you win money on Gary Woodland?
No, but just to lighten everybody's mood, I do want to talk about that for a second. That so
For those that don't know, who's Gary Woodland?
Gary Woodland is on the PGA Tour, and he just won the Houston Open this weekend, which was the PGA Tour event that concluded today. U.S. Open winner, played at Kansas, played college basketball as well, not at Kansas, in Kansas. I believe it was a D3 school, which a lot of people don't know. He transferred. He started playing basketball and he transferred to Kansas to play golf, which is just a hilarious. There's a punchline in there somewhere. But major championship winner, just certified top 25 in the world for a very large part of his career. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, he was having a bunch of migraines and whatnot, and then he finally went. He's kind of like us, you know. He doesn't want to go to the doctor. He broke down, went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Yo," like it wasn't Vanderbilt, but he went to a hospital like Vanderbilt, and they're like, "Yeah, you have a cancerous brain tumor," and got his head cut open, had brain surgery, got that out, beat that, and then had a lot of physical and mental trials to overcome. And less than 3 years later, once again at the top of his profession, and he won by four, right? He won by four.
Last I didn't see the end of it, but last I saw he was up 5 strokes. I don't know where he finished.
I believe he won by four, and it's just one of the coolest things of all time. And it was honestly like an uplifting thing. Like you realize how little shit matters. Like like we're like, oh God, like I really want this guy to win this golf tournament, or man, I really want this team to win this basketball game, or whatever. And he had opened up over the past couple months. Really, it was actually fairly recent about how he was like, I don't care about golf. He's like, I'm worried about my wife and children. Like, I don't want them to have to be without their husband and father. And him winning a golf tournament's awesome, but it was just kind of like personification of him overcoming that, which is really cool because you have his story alongside Anthony Kim's story, and they both won within what 6 weeks of each other. It's just cool. It's feel good. You're happy for him, and on top of all that, he is one of the most humble and best dudes on tour. Just perfect. Like super happy for Gary Woodland. He got a little dusty when he made that putt on 18. Just awesome. So
Allergies kicked in.
yeah, which allergies did kick in today,
Oh
which is a
God,
good
yeah,
conversation. Almighty.
it's been
But
bad over here in my house. I can tell you
yeah,
that.
but yeah, it was funny. I was actually sitting next to Hayes and one of our other coworkers, and I was like, I'm gonna have to walk away from the TV, or I'm gonna cry in front of everybody.
God, Harbin showing an emotional side. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, just cool. Like, I don't know, super happy for him, and he had and obviously he broke down on his wife, and he had a really good message for people. I'm not gonna get into that. If you want to see it, you can go find it, but it was just cool. And on a selfish end, after watching the Tennessee baseball game and the basketball game, it was uplifting for the day. So
Well, good. At least something good happened today.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But
so, Harb, what do you want to do here first? Do you want to like you and I talk usually before we start recording, but What are we doing here? You want to talk about the whole tournament? Because we have not, you mentioned it before we recorded. We have not recorded since right before the tournament started.
Correct.
So we talked about, how far Tennessee could go. I think you and I both said definitely around a 32. Sweet 16 is probably the ceiling. Well, hell, they knocked that ceiling down and went through it.
Hmm.
So what do you want to do? Talk about the matchups really quickly of who we beat to get to today. I guess we can do that, and then talk about where does Tennessee go from here?
Yeah. We'll kind of try to do a crash course of the entire tournament as a whole because I have some emotions about the game today, and they're slightly negative. Well, they're very negative in the moment,
I
but
don't know.
I mean, they're negative for sure. But the overall run this team went on, and where this program is awesome, and I want to talk about that, and then we can get into frustrations. Um,
Why don't you recap for us? How did Tennessee get to today? Like, how'd they get there?
sure.
And give us your thoughts on the along the way. And I'll chirp in and give mine too.
So as everyone knows, Tennessee was sixth seed in the Midwest bracket. We were analytics wise, we were underseeded, but we covered in the last show. You don't lose 11 games and blow what 7 double point leads if you don't
Yep.
want to be underseeded. Well, we got one of the play-in games, which was between Miami and SMU, and that was actually when we were recording was while that game was going on. And it's like, of course, we get one of these. A
Yeah.
team that can get some momentum. And Miami looked like world beaters against SMU, and we all knew that we were better than them. The whole country knew it. It was one of those things where the tournament's starting. Everybody's like, "All right, who's going to be this team that makes us run?" Blah blah blah. No one ever gets it right, by the way, myself included. But Miami of Ohio was kind of America's darling. And I enjoyed them too. Like they 1000% deserved to be in. I think they got a raw deal getting in a playing game. They went undefeated in the regular season. They slipped up in the tournament. They shouldn't have had to have even been in a playing game. And we learned that SMU is just not very good. Um, then the first 3 or 4 minutes against Miami comes out and hits a few shots. You're like, oh boy, here we go. Then we settled in, played our game, bigger, faster, stronger, better. Um, we were up 19 at the half, I think. Gillespie played awesome, which he did all tournament for the most part. Estrella played well in that game. Uh, I don't think we need to cover a whole lot for this game. Uh,
No, Tennessee, like you said, they came out. Um, you could look at our players versus theirs on the court and be like, holy cow, it's like physically we just looked different than they did.
which is
Um,
what's supposed to happen.
Correct. And Tennessee did what they were supposed to do. They came out, and honestly, what was the final score? Here, I'm gonna look it up.
They won 78 to 56. They won by 22.
It really should have been worse than that. What did we
Yeah,
turn the ball
we kind
over?
of eased up,
Well, we turned the ball over like
and
17 or 18 times.
especially in the second half. Like we scored 51 in the first half, 27 in the second. You didn't need to do a whole lot. You did enough to win and still win convincingly as far as numbers go.
And Rick Barnes said that after the game. I was watching his post. They always, UT does a really good job of video in the locker room after the game. And he was talking to the guys. He's like, guys, that was a great win. We did what we needed to do. You asserted dominance over. He said, but it could have been worse. We had, I think, at one point in that game, and this happens a lot to Tennessee, or happened a lot to Tennessee this season. Five out of seven possessions in a row, they turned the basketball over.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that against Miami in the second half and allowed them not to hang around, but to not make the score worse than it was. But I mean, I thought Tennessee came out, did what they needed to do, and they moved on,
Mm-hmm.
which is what's supposed to happen.
And then we got to dance with the Virginia Cavaliers in the round of 32, the 3 seed, which they were 30-5 going into that game, which I think some people slightly read through that, which you could look at them half glass full, half glass empty. They had 5 losses and 2 of them were to Duke. However, how many good ACC teams were there this year?
I think the
4.
I think the ACC got exposed in this tournament. Even with, I don't even say Duke, but I went to Greenville to that first and second round games. Duke played Siena, and they were behind to 16 seed Siena for a large portion of that game, and not just behind, but behind double digits. I think at one point they were behind 10 and 12 points for a lot of that second half. I looked at my uncle and the two guys we were with, and I said, "At what point does Duke's talent just take over?" And it finally did, but it took a while. And then we saw him again on Saturday versus TCU, and that one was back and forth, an 8 seed for a lot of the time. But I thought the ACC was, yes, better than it was last year, but well, a lot of their teams were flawed. I also saw North Carolina over there lose to VCU, blow
Yeah.
a 19-point lead. I mean, ACC was not great. I thought Virginia was a very good basketball team, but
Yeah, no, that was in no way a knock
yeah,
on
yeah, they're
Virginia.
not.
It was
But
more so a knock on their competition on the year.
but when Tennessee plays, I mean, we've seen it all year. Tennessee, they lost. What do we lose? 12 games total count today,
Yeah.
and probably about 4 or 5 games we probably shouldn't have lost because we played stupid basketball and we choked. And that's they didn't do that against Virginia. They tried. They sure tried.
They did. But another one thing that we didn't cover in the Miami game, the big, which you win by 22, there's not a whole lot of things that you can bitch at. But the big thing was Ament went 0 for 5 from the floor, only played 19 minutes, didn't score. And it's like, well, hell, he's got to get it together. Well, then he only has 3 points in the first half against Virginia, and we were up 5 at the break. Everybody at halftime was like, "This is great, but you really need your best or second player or second best player, whichever way you want to look at it, to get moving, get active." He did in the second half, especially in the beginning of the second half. Stat line wasn't great, but he ended up 16 points, so he had 13 in the second half. He made some big shots, made some good plays. He's very good at drawing fouls.
Very good.
Excellent at it. He did that. Gillespie went for 21 again in this game, hit 3 threes. But Bishop Boswell was the biggest story in the Virginia game for me. It's
Yes.
3 threes in the first half. Hadn't really seen a whole lot of that during the year, to say the least. Um, he came up huge. Ethan Berg came up. Oh, wait, no, not that game. That was Iowa State or Miami. Definitely wasn't this game now that I look at the.
He only played 7 minutes.
Yeah. Anyway, Jalen Carey played very well against Virginia, 4 or 5 from the floor, 10 points. It was just one of those games where they, in a weird way, it was kind of frustrating watching this Virginia game because they refused to lose, even when they kind of tried to. They
Yeah.
still they still refused to. And it's like, damn, like where was that?
Yeah. Where was that in Lexington?
Where's that? But I mean, I would rather have it in.
Right.
I would always rather have it in mid to late March than in January. Always. But Virginia's good. That big white boy they got, DeRitter, is that his name?
Yes.
He was solid. He scared the daylights out of me. You end up getting it done. You make it out of the first weekend. And after that Virginia game, I believe I said it to you. I said it to a few people. I was like, I don't know if I want any part of Iowa State. And that was kind of a fair assessment at the time. Then you get in the game, and I mean, it's a tight game for 30, 35 minutes. We ended up handling the hell out of them, really. We made them play exactly how we wanted to play, which our best player was out, and that's fine. But they are a very, very good basketball team. But that's what happens when you dictate the flow of a game versus when you try to play another team's style and beat them that way. Uh, One thing that concerned me going into that game, Iowa State loves to double almost everything, and especially ball screens and post ups, which what do we do the most? The two things that we do most.
Yep.
We run ball screens at the top of the key, and we feed it in the post, or we get it to Ament, and he tries to back down in the elbow to mid post area. That's what scared me because they've got guys bigger and stronger than Ament. Gillespie at times this season had turnover issues. So when you're smoke screening on a screen doubling, that kind of scares you going into it with a let's say an underweight, oversized three. I know that's a weird way to put that. Stretch four is probably where I could have went with that. And a point guard that goes hot and cold with turnover issues. That's really not a good matchup for us. And we handled it extremely well. And what's his name? The guy that had the second most points per game in the tournament.
How you say his name? I kept wanting to call him Milicic. That was a guy that played for us last year. Um,
Momkolovich. Is that how you say it?
yeah, I think maybe Mom Kolovich. I don't know. Milan. Milan.
Phonetically, for somebody that grew up in Granger County, that is,
Yeah.
it's Mom Momblovvic. He scored 6 points, and one of his three was a three with like a minute left.
He hit 1 3 early in the first half.
And
They're
they hit
very
one.
early,
And they hit one very, very
very
late.
like late, like
We shut that brother down.
yeah. I'm like you. I was worried about Iowa State, and I just full disclosure here. I had Iowa State in the Final Four. I had them beating Michigan. That was with Jefferson. Now I realize he didn't play, but I'm not sure, Tennessee played the way they did against Iowa State. I'm not sure Iowa State beats Tennessee even with him on the court that night. It may not have been a 14-point win. It may have been a 2 or 3 possession game or less than that, but I mean Tennessee, like you said, they dictated the terms of engagement. I said going into the game, they've got to rebound the basketball and guard the 3-point shot. And they did both of those things really well that night. They did not allow Iowa State to get hot from 3-point range, and they destroyed Iowa State on the glass. And not skipping ahead to the Michigan game today, we did not do that today against the Wolverines, but against Iowa State, they dominated. I'm trying to pull up the total rebounds here.
So
Uh, t-
while you're looking at the rebound numbers, one thing I want to say about our post players, especially on the offensive end, Felix Felix Okpara, Dwayne Brown, Jalen Carey combined for 27 points on 12 of 14 shooting. That tells you pretty much everything you need to know about that game.
yeah,
And Estrella struggled from the floor which is kind of funny. Felix Akpara, 12 points, five for six from the field. And it felt like every single time he touched the ball, he was murdering the rim.
Yes.
He treated the rim like it said something bad to his mother. And every time you looked up, it was a lob. Like, I think oh, maybe it wasn't Dwayne Brown.
He
But
threw one.
he threw one, but it felt like every time you looked up, Akpar was catching a lob and just yamming it. Jalen Carey played really well. That was nice to see. Dwayne Brown did what he needed to do in only 8 minutes. Uh, Estrella was a little frustrating. He missed some layups in that game, but
What's new?
yeah, which I mean we've seen that a lot this year. Not just from him, but Ament 18 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 4 from three, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. Akpar double double. I want to say had like 4 blocks in that game too. Um,
He
yeah,
had three.
3 blocks and a steal. Jalen Carey double double as well, 11 and 10. It's kind of yeah. Overall rebounds
43 to 22, Tennessee.
43-22. Yep.
We had I'm gonna look up offensive and defensive rebounds, but we killed them on the glass. I mean, we just absolutely like the
Wait, offensive rebounds was 16-8. Defensive rebounds was 27-14. We just
yeah,
dominated them on both ends.
yeah, they just dominated it.
Yeah.
And that's what they had. I text you
And we
and
had 17 turnovers and we won by 14.
yeah, here we go again. Imagine if we didn't turn the ball over 17 times. Now, uh, say what you will about Steve Lapis, the color commentator, with Andrew, whatever his name was, on CBS or TBS, whatever channel we were on. Um, say what you will about him. He was all over the place trying to say Akpara's name and some other things. But, um, God, I just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? I got talking about Steve Lapis. Totally lost my train of thought here, Harb.
About rebounding and dominating them.
I'll think of it in a minute. Never mind. Sorry. It's been a bad day.
But I mean, you look at it. Turnovers was 17-11. That checks in Iowa State's side. We only had 5 more shot attempts than them. 19 more rebounds. They shot 10 more free throws than we did. What it comes down to is we shot 51% from the floor, they shot 39, and we out rebounded them. That's the two numbers you need to look at. And we had 42 points in the paint. We haven't had the identity of a three point shooting team all year. We shoot enough to keep a defense honest. That's just like that was like the epitome of I guess a game for this exact Tennessee basketball team. Like if they were like, hey, how do you want a game to go? I'm not gonna say A+ because you had 17 turnovers, but that was an A game. You did exactly what you wanted to. You turned it over a little bit, whatever. But you out rebounded the hell out of them. You touched the paint almost every possession. Your star freshman was efficient. You got a lot of a lot of help from depth on the inside. Gillespie had 21, I think, wasn't super efficient in that game, but the shots that he made, you heard him. That was one of the best games we played all year, in my opinion,
Yeah, I
from
don't.
a team standpoint. And you got 4 threes out of Bishop Boswell.
Yeah.
And that, and in no disrespect whatsoever, I think he had a good year. You get 4 threes out of Boswell and you don't win, what went wrong?
I like that Boswell, as the year went on, he seemed more willing to shoot the basketball. He's definitely going to have to do that more next year. I mean, but he didn't play at all last year. And there was talk. I remember coming on here after the season was over. It's like, is he going to stay around? Um, but he's one of those glue guy culture guys that Rick Barnes wants here. But he made an improvement this year. But I'm gonna give a shout out to Jalen Carey. I've been critical of him on here this year, rightfully so. The analytics and the numbers show that Tennessee was not a very good team with him on the court. And that's no disrespect to him, no slight to him. It just is what it is. Numbers don't lie. Um, he played awesome against Iowa State the other night. 21 minutes. He was 5 of 6 from the field, 1 of 1 from the free throw line. He had 10 rebounds, 6 offensive, um, 11 points. He had a big steal, Harb, that resulted in him running not length of the court, but 3/4 court to absolutely tomahawk a dunk home. And as soon as he dunked it, I threw up my arms. I said, he can dunk it. He can dunk. I mean, I know we've seen him dunk this year, but it's like, bless his heart, he can't jump to get to the rim. It looks like me out there trying to dunk it. And he got there barely, but it was a big steal, I mean, it was first half, but still, it was kind of one of those tone setters. And that's what Tennessee basketball is made around rebounding and defense, and then offense comes later. And that's what they did to Iowa State. They played really good defense and rebounded the ball at an elite level, and their offense was good enough.
And we frustrated them. You could tell.
We frustrated the Mom Klevich, or however you say his name, so much he declared for the draft today.
Which that was gonna happen either way.
Right.
But anytime you can anytime you can get a team's leading scorer to only have 6 points, and you start getting frustration fouls and mental lapse technical fouls, like I forget that guy's name, but just kind
Yeah.
of you know the play I'm talking about.
Yes.
When we tomahawked the ball at Estrella, or he pushed Estrella. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Sorry. Um, Anytime you get good teams doing that, you know you're doing something right.
They were
And
they were super frustrated. You could tell.
yeah, and hell, they should have been. I mean, we kind of had them in a torture chamber, and we never dominated until we went on a run to separate ourselves towards the end. It was a close game, and I guess in their mind, they're like, God, like, we should be pulling away from this team, and they never did. And that's what good teams with experience in March do. And that's what we did.
And that's what programs like Tennessee are supposed to do
Yeah,
in March.
absolutely. And that's what earned us our spot in the last day of the second weekend. And then that game happened.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I text you all this, but I text a couple people. They would ask me like, "What do you think today's gonna be like, Niece? What do you think?" Like, I don't think we win. I said, I think it'll. I think it. I thought it was going to be a lot like that Purdue Arizona game on Saturday night. I thought we might lead a little bit. It might be back and forth, and in the final 8 to 10 minutes, Michigan's talent and just overall, they're just better than us. Let's just call it what it is. They were just better than Tennessee. They would take over and pull away and win by 10 or 15. They did that. They did that at like the what
10 minute
12,
mark.
10, 9, 10 minute mark in the first half, and it was over. They went on a 21-0 run, which on evanmaya.com, they have a thing called the kill shot, which is a 10-0 run, a 15-0 run is called something else. Well, a 20-0 run's they just called it an avalanche. and
That
and that's
is
what happened.
correct.
and that's what happened. But it was super disappointing. Again, I didn't expect us to win. You know, you're sitting there hopeful that Tennessee can find a way to win and kick that door in and get to that first Final Four and get me and you and whoever else was going to go to Indianapolis. Um, but I just never had that feeling that, I had hopeful feelings last year against Houston. I had a lot of hopeful feelings against Purdue 3 years ago now. I did not have, I mean, I hoped it would happen, but I, deep down knew that we almost, and I heard it on a couple other shows, and if you're listening to this and you've listened to other shows, you probably heard it too. Tennessee almost had to play perfect today to win.
Yeah.
And we were not even close to playing a good game. I mean, Nate Ament was totally out of it. Gillespie was out of it. Our post players got dominated. I honestly, I looked at Slagle today. I was watching the game with him. When they went on that run, I looked at him and I said, we look totally gassed. And I don't know, you can't really use that as an excuse this time of year because both teams are playing the same schedule. But I think we expended so much energy in that Iowa State game because it was a physical game, tough game. I just wonder if we expended so much energy that like we gave up that run and it was, I mean, I know it's probably not an energy thing. We just looked gassed. We did not have that pep in our step, if you want to call it that we had against Iowa State. We were late on ball rotation. They weren't rebounding the ball well at all. And I know Michigan had a lot to do with that. I'm not saying that, but they
Michigan's
just,
huge.
yeah, they just didn't seem to have that. They seemed to step slow. And maybe that was because Michigan was that good. We just looked gassed to me a little bit.
I don't know if I'd call it gassed. First 10 minutes of the game,
Weren't we up 16-14?
yeah, we were up 16 to 14, and then next thing you know, we're down 30. We're down 38
What?
to 16,
Yeah.
or something like that.
I know at one point we were down 41-19 and we went on an 8-0 run to get it to 48. No, sorry, we were down 46-19 and we went on an 8-0 run to get it to 46-28. Sorry.
Somewhere
Or
in
we went on
there.
a 9-0 run, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry. 44-19 and then we went on an 8-0 run to get it to 44-26 and you're thinking, okay, let's get this down below 15, around 10 to 15 points by the half, and you might have a puncher's chance. Didn't happen. They went right back up by 21.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're down 19 with a ball with 30 seconds left, and you turn it over and they shoot a three, you're up for half, and you're down 22. And it's like, well, might as well check and see what's going on the Golf Channel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's just be honest. That's what it was. And even if we would have played an A game, I don't think we would have won today. Like they're just, in my opinion, this Michigan team is that good. And I went and looked at this. You remember that stretch earlier in the year when Michigan looked absolutely untouchable.
Yes.
So I was doing some digging. Michigan had, I believe, a 9 game streak. Let's see here, four. They had a 10 game streak where 9 of their 10 wins were by 25 or more, and half of them were tournament teams. And that's from November to January. Like, they beat MTSU by 25. Cool. Nobody cares. And then they got that Players Era, the tournament that we played in, the one that had the weird format, and that's the only reason that we didn't get to play in the championship, which we
Yes.
would have played Michigan. They beat San Diego State by 40. They beat Auburn by 50 when Auburn was ranked, which rankings in November, whatever. They beat Gonzaga by 40. Who won a tournament game. Then after that, beat Rutgers by 41. They beat Villanova by 28. Tournament team. They went to Maryland and won by 18. Scored 101. Beat LaSalle by 52. McNeese tournament team beat them by 41. Scored 112 points. And then number 24 at the time, USC, which didn't end up making the tournament, but they won by 30 against them. This team's just good. And Dusty May is, without a doubt, in my opinion, top 5 current coach in the sport. He might be number 2 in the current rankings. I don't think, I don't see how anybody could rank anybody above Hurley right now.
You can't.
I don't think you can at all, which we'll get into that, especially with how that went today. Team's good, man. One thing that did frustrate me, though, first 10 minutes, they kind of let them play, which proved in our favor because Michigan's extremely, and this is what I was saying before the game started, which in hindsight doesn't look very smart, but over a course of the season, it was true for the most part. Michigan's physical, and they're big. But they can also beat you at three-point line and with finesse. They, like, in my opinion, they're the most versatile team in the country with how many ways they can beat you. But they rely a lot on physicality. But one thing that I saw with Michigan, they didn't really like when people were physical with them too. So that's why I was like, we can hang around with this team because we're fairly physical. And in the first 10 minutes, they weren't calling a ton of fouls unless it was a little obvious, but like, and then that's when we had our lead. Well, then they start calling everything. Parr gets two quick ones, which was awful for us. He has to come out, which that's when they start that run. A big white boy they got. I forgot his name, but good.
Mara.
Yeah. I mean, he's huge, so that's hard to defend to begin with, but his footwork is incredible for somebody his size.
Yeah, he had some post moves that were they were pretty.
And he's not even close to their best player. And
I'm pretty sure that dude I'm pretty sure he got a rebound flat-footed one time today.
I believe it. Which you don't do that against us.
No.
Just don't.
No.
And the play, and like I said earlier, like even if we would have played our A game and balls would have went our way, you're probably not winning that game. But the play that changed the entire game for me, I want to say we were down 6, and it was in transition, and it was that reverse layup that turned into an and one, where Akpara literally did not touch the guy. They call an and one. It's Akpara's third. He's clearly not playing the rest of the half, and then all of a sudden you're down 9 without your anchor. And it's like, what are you supposed to do? Because Gillespie did not have a good first half. Ament did not have a good. Nobody really had a good first half. But the two guys that you absolutely needed to be ready to go weren't on. I think Gillespie went 2 of 12 in the first half or 2 of 11. And Ament may have got a couple buckets. But yeah, you lose that security blanket, and your two horses don't look that great. It went from kind of fun and pretty anxious to, oh God, here we go, really quick. Yeah, they manhandled us. I've only outside of Barnes's first or second year, I can definitely count on one hand the amount of times that I've seen a team physically manhandle a Rick Barnes led Tennessee team. And some of you listening will take this in a way that I don't necessarily mean this, but the top two ones that come to mind was this year's Elite Eight game and last year's Elite Eight game.
I was going to say it has to be one of them has to be Houston last year.
And I don't really mean it that way. If you want to take it that way, you can. But just objectively, probably the two worst times I've seen us get physically manhandled were the two last Elite Eight games. And we didn't play with that edge today that we played against Iowa State with, or we played Virginia with. And I don't think we're scared, but it was almost like we were like a half second hesitant on just about everything. And it's like, oh shit, like if we win this, we go to the Final Four. That's the way it looks like when you're a spectator. But like against Iowa State and Virginia, there was a rhythm, and you could tell when guys went up for a shot, it was with confidence. Today there was like a slight hitch, and it's not much, but but if you've ever played basketball in your life, you know there's a huge difference,
Yep.
especially with how quick they're moving, let alone high school ball. That little bit of hesitation, like before a pass or before a shot or something, I don't know. That's the way it looked. I'm not saying that's what it was. That's definitely how it looked. It looked like there was less confidence, and it was more so like we have to be perfect. And when you start thinking like that, you're just never going to play perfect. It just is what it is. And we couldn't throw it in the ocean, and they made a ton of threes on top of being better than us on the inside. And then we can go down the line. They shot more foul shots than we did. They turned the ball over less than we did. They did everything better than we did, and then that's how you get beat by 30 something.
Yep.
Like I couldn't tell you the last time. Please correct me if I'm forgetting anything. When's the last time that we lost by 30? Please tell me if
I,
I'm forgetting a game because I can't think of one off the top of my head, and I don't want to
I
sound like a moron.
I don't remember. I do remember, and this was pre Rick Barnes. This was Bruce Pearl. I do remember going to Charlotte for a first round game, and it was an 8-9 game. We were the 9, Michigan was the 8, and they beat us by 30. Um,
That was Barnes's last game as
that was
coach. I mean, Pearls.
Pearl's last
Yeah,
game as Tennessee coach. Yes.
but man, yeah.
I mean, just off the top of my head, Harb, I'm I can't remember one. I'm sure there might be something in there like that, but I mean, we didn't even lose
I
to
mean,
Houston.
in Florida this year, Florida beat us by 20 something at Florida, but it wasn't
It wasn't like
aesthetically
that.
near as bad as that.
Um, last year, the Houston game, yeah, we got physically manhandled. They were the better team, but we lost by 19. I mean, we were within what 20 to 25, and we'd whittle it down to 15. We'd whittle it down to 13. They'd push it back out. Um, Sucks that game too. We only scored 10 points in the first half. Hard to win a game when you score 10 and a half, but I just like we said earlier, I wasn't expecting Tennessee to win that game. It just sucks how you want it to be competitive and uh, at least give yourself a chance, and it just never happened. Um, this got talked about somewhere today, and I was looking at it last night. A lot of times get to the Final Four, you got to have some things fall your way. And we kind of did, with Iowa State losing their best player. I thought you and I agreed we both got pretty good draw with Miami, Ohio, and Virginia, teams we matched up well against. But this is the third year in a row we've been to the Elite Eight. Fourth time in school history, 3 years in a row under Rick Barnes. All three times in a row we've played a 1 seed. Purdue, Houston, Michigan. And I think Lapis said this today. What?
Wasn't Houston a two last year? They weren't.
I thought they were a 1 seed last year. I'll go back and double
Maybe
check that.
that doesn't matter.
But because we were a 2 seed, weren't we last year? I think we were the 2 seed in that region, and they were the one.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
Um,
sorry. Maybe they were the number two overall.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, he made a good point. He's like, sometimes you got to have some things go your way in this tournament. Um, like Illinois is the 3 seed playing a 9 seed Iowa. Yeah, that was a tough game. Iowa's a good team, but they're a 9 seed for a reason. Um,
yeah, but when you talk about Illinois, we were talking about teams physically dismantling a Rick Barnes Tennessee team. Have you ever seen Houston get physically dismantled? They did.
yeah, they did it.
That Illinois team is tough as nails.
And yeah, I
Which,
agree with that.
we're getting off
No,
topic
I
with
agree with that. I'm just saying, like, we've been a 3 seed before, gotten to the Sweet 16, and yeah, who'd we get one time? We got FAU was an 8 seed. Of
that. Dusty
course, they
May.
made a historic run.
It's
But
Dusty May.
Dusty May. But you got to have things like that go your way sometimes. It's like when we get in this position, we have played and I know Houston didn't win the title last year, but they were one of the elite teams in college basketball. And and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, we're just not at that point as a program. We're very good, we're not elite. And it's like 3 years in a row, we've played Purdue with Zach Edey, elite. We played Houston last year with all those guys, elite. And Michigan this year, they may, I think, probably win the whole thing after watching all this basketball this weekend. They're clear. If they can get by Arizona, it's over. I don't see UConn or Illinois beating them. They can, but anyway, I'm just saying, like, we have played three of the best teams that season that are holding us back, and I'll get into my point here in a minute about what we got to do to avoid that in the
I,
future.
I think part of your point, which is what I want to say, is the frustrating thing is the last 3 years, three straight elite eights for a program that had only been to one previously is phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely.
What Rick Barnes has done here is ridiculous in every sense of the word. He's going to end up having a street named after him somewhere. Even if this is the cap of his legacy at the University of Tennessee, let's say this is the most he accomplishes is what he has right now. They're getting a street named after him. He won't pay for a meal. Like, he is Tennessee basketball at this point. And we've had some good coaches, don't get me wrong, but he's at the very top of the list, and I don't think it's close anymore.
Absolutely. I agree.
Personally, I don't think it's close at all. But from a fan perspective, you get to three straight Elite Eights, and national people are like, yeah, it's cool, but like everyone else that has done that has gotten further. And I agree with that to an extent. But the thing that's frustrating is like 2024, you play Purdue. Purdue is far and beyond the second best team in the country that year. The
Yep.
two best teams in the country played for the national championship, and UConn was better than them. Last year, you play Houston, and they were clearly better than us. They make it to the national championship game. They come up short.
Yep.
And then you play Michigan, which I hate analytics. That is a recurring theme on the show. But if you look at every single metric or statistic following site in the country, they're number one. It's them in Arizona. Michigan's one, Arizona's two. And it gets to a point where it's like, yeah, we lost to a better team, but what if we would have got a draw in the South region or the East region? I'm not saying which one's which, but
Yeah.
like, what if we would have gotten to play Iowa, or what if we would have gotten to play Purdue even? I mean, Purdue's very good. Purdue probably is and might be better than us. What if we get to play Duke after seeing them in an exhibition game? Those are the things that
Yeah.
just frustrates the hell out of me because we've had teams over the course of these years that were good enough to make it to the Final Four. I mean, bounce don't go your way, or you get a bad draw, or you run into Michigan, for God's sakes, or an absolute buzzsaw. Nobody's come close to beating them. From that perspective, it's like, God almighty. Like, I
Yeah.
get so close every time. And it becomes a thing. We now have the most NCAA tournament wins in the country for a team that hasn't made the Final Four. And that's kind of a shitty stat to own. Is it
I hate that we have that stat. I absolutely like
not?
I hate it.
Like you start to feel like the Bills.
I saw somebody compare us to the Bills today.
I didn't even see that.
Somebody tweeted that it's like the dang Bills going to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row and losing it.
But it gets to that point where it's like, God, you knock on the door and listen, man, I remember when I was a kid and there were curtains up covering
Yeah.
the top portion of Thompson Bowling. Nobody gave a shit. We were awful. And now when we lose a home game, you're like, what the hell happened? Don't matter who comes to town, let alone like South Carolina or LSU, no disrespect to their programs. But it don't matter who comes to town. If we lose a home game, it's like, whoa,
What's going on?
oh, do we need to read into the officials or did somebody have the flu? Like that is where we are. So it's weird. It's a weird crossroads of I'm extremely thankful for where we are, but to be the bridesmaid and not the bride so many times is enough to start to grow gray hairs for a 27-year-old. Like it just is, and I don't know whether to be thankful or to bitch. Sometimes I know obviously I need to be thankful because I've seen where we were before, and just specifically with the basketball program, let alone other programs, which is a whole different conversation. I don't know. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. It's
So
tough.
I'll
We've got like the fourth most Sweet 16s in the last 20 years.
so I read just a couple like weird stats. We're the only program over the last 4 years to go to four straight Sweet 16s and three Elite Eights. And then there was another stat that came out that said Tennessee going, y'all don't understand how big it was for Tennessee to go to the Elite Eight. Coach K did it once 3 years in a row. I haven't fact checked that. I saw that tweeted. I sent it to my brother-in-law who's a Duke fan, and he seemed to agree with it. Um, and he was like, "Man, what y'all that program y'all got? I mean, this is coming from a Duke fan. He goes, y'all are one of the best programs in the country, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, we are.
my big thing is, and I'm gonna call out Boston Matt here. There's you listen to the post game shows, and I'm guilty of doing this. I tell myself all the time, don't turn on Basilio after a loss. What did I do today? I
Oh,
turned on
that's therapy.
Basilio.
That's therapy, though.
And for the most part, those guys were like you and me. They knew what they saw and understood what happened. But you have these morons that call in, and one of them basically called in and said, "How in the world can Rick Barnes even be considered? No wonder he ain't in the Hall of Fame, but how could he even be considered when you get blown out in a game like that?" And that's pretty much what Basilio did. I mean, they hung up on the guy. But Boston Matt's the same way. He's like, "You ready to get rid of Barnes yet?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. Barnes is here as long as he wants to be. I love
That
Rick
is
Barnes. He's my
that is
favorite
idi-
coach."
that is idiotic.
And his argument is he said, "I can't help it. I'm from Boston, And I grew up 2000s plus where if a team didn't perform over a 1 or 2 year stretch, didn't matter who they were gone. Coach was gone. Um, so I get that, but that's not here,
At the pro
Boston,
level,
Matt.
at the pro level in the Boston
Exactly.
area,
That's what I'm saying.
it's different.
This is different. This isn't Boston. This is the SEC. And Rick Barnes, when he took over this program, it was in shambles after Donnie Tyndall got fired. I remember that offseason between Tyndall's firing and Barnes getting hired, and we had like mass departures on the roster. And I'm like, are they even going to have a team? And luckily, about 7 or 8 of them stuck around, and one of them was Kevin Punter. And I say this all the time, and I've heard others say it. Kevin Punter that year really set the foundation. And I think Rick Barnes has even said it. He set the foundation for where this program is now. He worked
Mhm.
his butt off. Rick Barnes redid his shot and made that guy a bunch of money playing pro ball overseas and wherever else he's played. And it has kept growing. And so Barnes doing what he's done here, he deserves to leave when he wants. He deserves the lifetime. I'm not a big fan of lifetime contracts, but if anybody deserves it, it's him. But my question today was, I tweeted this from the YY8 account. I talked to you all and maybe several others. Tennessee is a very, very good basketball program. I think we all agree with that. Any program that goes to three straight Elite Eights, they're doing something right and they're pretty good.
I think you have to say we're a top eight program. I mean,
I
no
would
pun intended.
definitely top 10.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're squarely top 10, but
Coming
just
into this tournament, I always considered us a top 15, but with this run, I bumped us up to the top. We have to be in the top 10.
I,
Um,
I don't know how you could argue that.
but the thing is, if like we mentioned it, we ran into Michigan, Houston, Purdue, all elite teams. And it always seems like we're a player or two short, we're a step behind, we're just not on their level. And until we decide as an athletics department or a basketball program, and I'm not saying Rick Barnes hasn't tried, um, they got to build a roster like that. And I like the players he brings in, the guys that might get overlooked. They come in, they work their butt off, they develop, they get better over time. Bishop Boswell has gotten better. Guys like that, they get better, and that's great. But I've just come to the realization, just sitting there on the couch today at Slagle's, like, we're not going to go to a Final Four or win a national championship doing it that way. You can build a team around that, but look at the teams we've lost to. Look at the teams that are playing in this Final Four. They have elite rosters, guys that can score, and we got a bunch of guys that I love them to death. They work their butts off, they play hard, they're just not on that level. And I don't know if it's. I've always been a big proponent of, Danny White's always tweeting that everything's school, and there's people I've argued with like, we need to put all our money in football, forget all other sports. I sat there today and I was like, I almost want us just to give all of our money to men's basketball and football because I want to go to the Final Four so bad. That's the one thing I want to see in my life here at this school is Tennessee. I want to see two things, honestly. I want to go watch Tennessee football play for national title, and I want to see, even though I've seen Tennessee win a national title, I mean like physically be there. And I want to see Tennessee in the Final Four, and for that to happen next year, they've got a decent freshman recruiting class coming in. They're probably not going to contribute. They're going to have to hit the portal. And from what I listened to today and read, I think that's the plan. But what are they willing to spend? And is it going to forsake other programs like baseball or women's basketball at this point? We'll talk about baseball in a minute. Maybe people don't care anymore, but um, I just feel like we're never going to get to that point unless I'm not saying you got to do it right. Like Kentucky tried it this year, it didn't work. It just didn't. They spent $22 million. It's not about the amount of money you spend, but it's who you go after and the resources you use to do it. And I just don't think we're doing it at that where Michigan and UConn and Duke and Arizona and them are right now. I just don't think we're doing it.
Shortly, I disagree with you. Uh, I'll give you a couple reasons why. Number one, most money that was allocated to men's basketball programs for the 2025-2026 season, not necessarily just for the roster, but allocated for the basketball program. Tennessee ranked number two at either 22 or 24 million dollars. We spent the second most money in the country on basketball, which that's not just on roster, that's other things. Do you know who's number one?
Indiana.
Correct. What'd they do?
They didn't even make the tournament, did they?
No, not even close. Now, three, four, and five were Arizona, Yukon, whatever. So I do see your point in that, but we were number two. Number two, let me pose a hypothetical to you. I'm looking at the 2024 bracket, Elite Eight specifically. We were in the Midwest region. We're the two seed in the Midwest region. And we played Purdue, who lost in the national championship game. Let me ask you this. If we'd have been in the West region, or here's a better one. Let's say we were in the South region, and we got to go up against a 4 seed Duke or an 11 seed NC State behind DJ Burns. You remember that team, right?
Oh yeah.
If we'd have got to go up against one of those teams and won, or in the Elite Eight in the West, it was Alabama and Clemson in the final, which Alabama won and Alabama went to the Final Four. If you'd have gotten to play either any of those four teams, and in my brain, I think we beat all four of those teams. Maybe we don't, but for hypothetical sake, let's say we do, just in a different alternate universe, and we have a Final Four under our belt, and we get over that hump. We go to the Final Four, and then the 2 years after that, we go to the Elite Eight and we lose. Are you saying the things that you say right now?
Maybe. I don't know.
We're, I'm not attacking you,
I know.
but what I'm saying is we're pretty much letting 3 games over the course of 3 years dictate our thought process, which I've had the thoughts that you're having, and I've also had other thoughts where it's like luck of the draw or whatever. But also, you look at these teams that are perennial basketball schools, for example, Duke, UConn, Kansas, who didn't go far this year, North Carolina, who, in my opinion, over the last 5 years, we're a much better basketball program than they are, uh, personally, or at least over the last few years, which we have a coach and they don't. So I think just ipso facto that makes you a better program when they don't retire and they get fired. But you look at these blue bloods, all of these teams are really only good at basketball. I mean, they may be good at baseball or other things, but basketball is their breadwinner. Basketball has never been Tennessee's breadwinner. And over the last few years, we have been good at everything, and or most sports. Like we've talked about it ad nauseum on the show. Baseball national championship, a few college World Series, Tennessee football playoff, double-digit win seasons. Basketball, 3 straight Elite Eights. I want to say 6 or 7 Sweet 16s under Rick Barnes. Like we have all of these things that we can hang our hat on. And it's like you want to talk about dumping more money into one sport. And I see both sides of the coin, but do you really want to take money away from one program and dump it into another?
I,
There's a couple,
that's the argument out. I mean, is that?
and
I guess what I'm asking is
there are
that what it's
some.
going to take to get us to that next spot?
I don't think it is. We don't have Texas money. We don't have Ohio State money.
They don't have Michigan money.
We don't have Michigan money, but we have money. And For one, before I even get into this, and we don't have LSU money. It is absolute horseshit that we're talking about how much money a university has for collegiate sports. And
Yeah.
I know most people agree with that, but that's just how it is now. So hell with it. We got to deal with it. That's ridiculous. But we spent we spent the second most money in the country this year, and number one didn't make the tournament. So you could have all the gold in California, little righteous gemstones for you.
Yes.
You could have all of that,
Gatlin brothers.
but you gotta know where and how to use it, and two, once you get these tools that you spent this money on, you gotta know how to use those as well. We have one of the best college basketball coaches of all time. I'm not saying he's top five, and he may not be top 10, but he is like, if somebody were to write a book on the history of college basketball, Rick Barnes is 1,000% in it. He just is. He officially has the most current wins of active coaches. If you count Calipari's vacated wins, he has the second most. I'm more so in that camp because his wins got vacated for shit that's 1,000% legal now. So Barnes has the second most wins of an active coach right now. I don't know, and I don't, and it does always seem like we're a piece or two away, but I don't know if money changes that. I just don't, and I'm not questioning Barnes's development, but I think more so what I'm saying, just now that I've calmed down from the game and everything, you kind of just got to remember who you are at some point. And this is far and beyond the best that we've ever been at men's basketball. Like, can you remember a 8 year stretch in your lifetime where the men were better than the women's?
No.
Well, that's where we're at.
Not even when Pearl was here, the women were still better. They were winning national
Yeah,
championships.
they went back to back national championships.
Yeah.
Pearl's third and fourth year here.
Yeah.
That, but that's the example I use to people that have kept up with this university for 25, 30, 40 plus years. Like our basketball program's doing this. And in Barnes's first few years here, we had a few teams that were good enough to probably make a Final Four, like the Grant and Admiral, or two of those teams, Grant, Admiral, Bowden, Bone, Alexander, that nucleus. You run into Sister Jean,
Yeah.
whatever. I ain't even getting in that. They go to the Final Four. The year after, you play one of the best college basketball games I've ever seen, in my opinion, against Purdue, and a whistle decides that game.
And one of their players goes off for like 40 something points. Klein, or however much he had. He couldn't miss.
Yeah, yeah, he hit 9 threes, and it's just like, yes, it's frustrating as a fan because you get so close so many times, but we are who we are, and we are still on a steady incline. So I guess part of this is be patient and trust the process because Barnes isn't going to be here forever. He's definitely going to be here next year. So, first of all, enjoy every moment that he's your basketball coach because
Yes.
we may never have anyone close to him ever again. I mean, look at Alabama, and I'm not comparing Rick Barnes to Nick Saban. Do not get this misconstrued. But look at Alabama football. They struck lightning in a bottle twice with Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't. But now they have Kellen DeBoer, and Kellen DeBoer's a good football coach. He will never, ever, ever live up to Nick Saban's shadow. Ever. And it's a lot like our women have dealt with over the last 10 to 12 years. on trying to replace Pat Summitt. You can't do that.
I'm afraid we're witnessing that in our baseball program right now too.
And
But we'll get
and
into
that
that later.
well, and that's too early to call, in my opinion. Which
Probably true.
and I don't know if you can follow that up with this program. Hey, you may be able to, but it's still early for them, and they can right the ship. And hell, even if they're just good this year, I consider that a win. But I'm getting a little off track here.
Well,
As far as
so
basketball goes, if you we're going up, and it's easy to get frustrated in the moment, and losing by 34, it's really hard to stop and smell the roses. Look where we're at. I mean, it is super frustrating that you can't get to. I'm not even talking about the peak of the mountain with the national championship. I'm just talking about being there for that final weekend. That's all
yeah.
I'm talking about. Just
And
being there and going.
Rick Barnes said this today. It is like people don't understand how hard this tournament is. And he's like, "Oh, it's just 6 games." Yeah, it's 6 games and it's win or go home. It's not a series here. And it is super hard to get to the Elite Eight. Like what we did.
I saw somebody put it extremely eloquently. You win your Sweet 16 game and you go to the Elite Eight. You're halfway there.
Yeah,
Think
that's
of it
right.
that way.
You don't think of it. You think of it as like, oh gosh, we're right there, but you're only halfway home to
You
winning the
you
title.
you win your Sweet 16 game. You are 50% of the way there, and
And
that changed my entire realm of thinking on the whole thing. I was like, damn, this guy's right.
I mean, but think about it. I mean, there's 365 teams. Yes, 365 teams start the season in Division One. 68 make the tournament. And here we are 3 years in a row. We're one of 8 teams left. That is so hard to even do that. But going back to your point earlier, so I looked up some numbers while you were talking, and so those numbers that we were talking about, how much money spent was for the 2024-25. The 2025-26 is not out yet because the budget year is not over. Indiana spent $32 million on their basketball program. Tennessee spent 23.1 million. So this would have been last year. These things include things like head coach compensation. Rick Barnes made 7.1 million. Profitability of the program. The program brought in 35.2 million, made a profit of 12 million. Recruiting budget that year was $622,000. Revenue sharing. So here's where I get to my point. Revenue sharing via the house settlement. UT's model allocates 15% of the school to player revenue sharing pool to men's basketball. It also goes on to say um, total, let's see, where is it? NIL and coaching limits. Despite the high operational spending, Coach Rick Barnes has noted and said Tennessee sets limits on its NIL compensation, causing them to miss out on some targets who received higher offers elsewhere. He said that, and I don't have the exact quote right here in front of me. This is from AI searching the web overview. But I remember him talking about that in the past, and they do. They have like, this is what y'all get. Go do with it what you can. And it's caused them to miss out on some players, some of the more elite players. I'm not saying our guy, like, I love our team. We had great players, but I guess my point is to make that next step. Do you continue to do what you do, bring in these guys, develop them, or do you go spin big? It's smart, but spin big in a smart manner to try to build one of the top 3 or 4 best rosters in the game. Because you don't. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of running into these teams that have more weapons than we do. And maybe we build a roster and it turns out like Kentucky. I mean, that's. I think we kind of try to do that. I think that kind of happened in football this past year. We went out, spent a bunch of money. It didn't work out.
Well,
Um,
well
it,
here's my question back to you. Well, why, when you have a program on an upward trajectory that are consistently, literally more than anyone else in the country there in late March, why would you change that just to potentially get to that next step? I mean, I understand why you say it, but it's doing this and this and this, and the whole season as a whole this year was a little bit of a step back, but then bam, you make this run, and it's like, yep, we're right there every year. I don't think you change it. I just think you keep hammering at it because you can't eat an elephant one bite at a time. I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
I guess the thing that's frustrating though is you look at a team like Michigan, like they did it in 1 year. Like you see these quick turnarounds in this era, in this portal era, and here we are grinding away. And I appreciate that. Look, don't get me wrong, I'm one of the biggest Tennessee basketball fans out there. I think anybody that listens to this show knows that. I am always erring on the side of this program, and I probably talk them up more than they should be. But I just feel like it's like we're grinding away, we're almost there. Barnes might coach one more year. I'm afraid next year's probably going to be his last year. I really do, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying they should do this. I'm just saying, like, I feel like to me, until they build a roster where we have that elite talent, which we don't right now. We had some, I mean, Nate Ament, lottery pick, supposed to be one of the top 5 players in the country. He was very good. I'm not sure he was one of the top 5 players in the country, though. He wasn't that difference maker we all thought that he could be. Gillespie was a nice player all year, very good, not an elite player. We just don't
It,
have those elite weapons to beat teams like Michigan, Arizona, Duke, UConn.
but you also look at, like, let's look at the four Final Four teams, for example. Two of those have very similar identities in Michigan and Illinois. And it's not just because they're Big Ten. Illinois, for one, has went the European route
Yeah,
for the
hard,
most part.
hard.
And that is successful because if you look at youth basketball in America versus youth basketball in Europe over the last 20 years, Eastern Europe, for to be more exact, is way more dominant as far as fundamentals and physicality goes than American is. And but both of them are just big. And you can be big, but you have to have skill that goes with it. And Michigan and Illinois are very similar in that. And Arizona's huge too, which they're not, and UConn's huge too, but Arizona and UConn are more similar than Michigan and Illinois. UConn's more homegrown, which is more so like us, which is why I think it's doable the way that we're doing it. Hurley only has one 5-star commit in his entirety of his 8 years at UConn. Did you know that?
I did not.
Donovan Clingan, 4-star. Stephon Castle, 4-star. I mean, we can go down the line. The one 5-star they had was a one and done, and it was before they even won a national championship.
And that
That
sounds a lot like Tennessee. I mean, our
yeah,
roster is full of 4 stars.
like UConn and Tennessee are not very different. Obviously, they've won two national championships, and this is their fourth Final Four under Hurley, third maybe.
Third or fourth. Eighth Final Four since
They're
1999.
obviously a lot more successful at it than we are, but they run a very, very, very similar family style program that we do, as opposed to your Illinois and your Michigans, which have Illinois is always pretty good at basketball, but they've kind of Brad Underwood adopted a new thought process and it's turned out fruitful for him. So there is your agree and disagree point to what you said. You can look at UConn, you can look at Illinois, and it's like it's doable on both ends, but I think you got to pick one and roll with it. And I think as long as Barnes is still here, you're not gonna you're not gonna change what you do. Now, when you have somebody come in and hopefully keep the momentum going and build off of that, then it's a whole new ball game. But who knows when that's going to happen? I don't even want to talk about that because I hope it's not in the next few years. Hell, I hope he coaches till he's 100 and he's still great. But
Yeah.
obviously, Father Time's undefeated.
Well, I think just by the way, speaking on that, I think we dodged a bullet today because I'm forgetting his name. St. Louis's coach withdrew from the NC State job, and that guy, from what I've read and heard other people talk about, he wants to be here. Coached at LMU, he has won a ton of
Yeah,
basketball
absolutely wants
games.
to be here, and
Um,
I wouldn't hate having him here.
oh, he would probably be, unless you wanted to go out and get some like big name, he's got to be number one on the list. But that's a topic for another day. Um,
Even if he went to NC State, whenever Barnes hangs up, if we call him, he's probably. I mean, NC State isn't a bad job. Tennessee's a much better job.
oh yeah, let's talk. So before we get too long-winded here, let's talk about where's Tennessee go from here. You brought up NC State. More than likely, Tennessee assistant coach Justin Gainey's going to take that head coaching job, which is awesome for him. Makes Tennessee look really good. Another guy leaving Barnes' staff to go be a head coach. So Barnes is probably going to have to make another hire for an assistant coach. You hear rumblings about Kim English, who was fired at Providence, coming back down here. Does he go that route, or what does he do? Um, we talked about the portal. They're probably going to hit the. I would be shocked if they don't hit the portal really hard. And what I mean by really hard is they got to go out and get somebody that can score and is one of the top players in the portal. They got to hit on one of these guys at some point. Um, but
No, but I mean, we've consistently hit in the portal over the last few
yeah,
years.
yeah, and I'm not saying we haven't.
We've been very successful at it between Gillespie and Dalton Connect and a few others. We have been
Sure,
successful. That's why I trust this coach staff to do it again.
sure, I agree. But they're going to lose Gillespie, Okpara, more than likely Nate Ament. I can't see any scenario where he stays unless we throw a boatload of money at him. I don't know if that'll happen, but yeah, what if Tennessee comes to him and says, "Hey, bud, we'll pay you 5 million or 8 million, stay with the Vols next year." Does he stay another year to work on his game and his craft under Rick Barnes? That's a decision he and his family got to make. He's probably not going to. That NBA money's hard to turn away, and he can go develop up there. But I saw somebody made a good point today. Is like, imagine if Kennedy Chandler had stayed one more year, and he's bounced around all over the place. Just recently got a 10-day deal with who's he with? I can't
Uh,
remember.
Utah?
Maybe. But I mean,
Utah.
that's been 4 years ago that he was with us. But I mean, I can't imagine that he stays, but what if he stays and then they can spend some other money somewhere else? But they're going to lose some players and they got to figure out, what do they need? You're going to need a point guard. I don't think Troy Henderson's ready to be the man. We saw some glimpses out of him. I know he was hurt most of the last half of the season. He's going to have shoulder surgery now that the season's over. They got a solid high school recruiting class coming in, a couple 4 stars and a 3 star. But from what I've read, those guys are probably going to be guys that won't come unless they just come in and dazzle. They're not going to be guys that come in and contribute in a big way right out of the gate. Um, so they got a lot of decisions, just like every other offseason. But I used to worry, Harb. I'd say, "Oh God, this is when it falls off. This is when it's over." Like we're not. I'm at the point now where I'm going to be highly shocked if we don't stay at this level because this staff continues every year to find people and put us right back in the top four of the SEC and in that contention for the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. I guess my only point earlier is it's kind of like football. It's like, what do they got to do to make that next step? What does Josh Heupel have to do to not just win 8, 9, 10 games and go to random bowl? Like, what do they got to do to make the playoffs every year? What do they got to do to win a game in the playoffs or win the SEC title? It's the same thing in this. Like, what does Tennessee have to do to get knock that door in, kick that door down? And I
Well,
think the coach Rick Barnes and them know that. They ask themselves that question probably every day. Like, what we got to do to get that, take that next step?
looking at it glass half full, yes, you're losing Gillespie. You're more than likely losing Ament. It's not 100%, but it's definitely closer to 100 than it is zero.
Yeah.
And Akpar is gone. And is Jalen Carey done?
No, he's just a junior. He'll be back. And I
Okay.
say this,
So really, you're losing three guys. So that's glass half full, unless I'm forgetting somebody in there.
no, and I say this,
Glass, glass half full. You're in more than likely a couple, maybe one or two guys is going to transfer for various reasons, just because of today's college basketball. Out of a out of a 10-man rotation, you're losing 3 to 4 guys, and a lot of these guys got some valuable experience this year. They should build off of it and keep it rolling.
yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say too. The bones of the program is good. Um, you've got guys like Evans, Dwayne Brown, Troy Henderson that got a lot of experience this year. Evans and Brown more than most. I say they should be back. You just never know in this day and age. Like I don't think. I mean, we got caught surprised that Jonas Adu left and some of these other guys transferred out. I was like, really? But last year they had nobody really leave the program of significance, and I hope it stays that way this year. And I think they will stay. All these guys. I don't want to say 100% that they do, but the bones of the program are good. They just need to find those guys to build around or to put around them. Because I think Dwayne Brown's got a lot of upside. Amari Evans. I mean, both guys were 4-star recruits. Got a lot of upside. Jalen Carey showed some promise as the season ended here. Can he get better this offseason? They're going to need him next year because they lose Okpara. But I think they need to find a point guard. They need to find a rim protector of some kind and maybe another scorer. We'll see. We'll see who's out there. The portal's not open yet. It doesn't open till April 7th, I believe. So you're going to have a little quiet time here. You probably see some people say, "Hey, I'm entering the portal," but not they can't announce where they're going. You'll see speculation, but has North Carolina hired a coach yet? I haven't seen anything. I heard,
Well, the rumor is Iowa State's coach.
well, that's what I kept hearing. I haven't seen anything today as of this recording, but
So let me ask you this real quick about North Carolina. Does this next hire dictate whether what kind of blue blood they are? And what I say that is, do they join the Duke and Kansas circle, stay in that circle, or do they drift into the Indiana UCLA circle?
depends on who they hire.
Or do they stay hovering in the Kentucky circle of blue bloods? Like,
I mean,
like, like,
honestly,
they, like they're at a crossroads right here, and in my opinion, is very prevalent on this next coaching hire because if they go back to prominence, bam, they're right back in there with your Dukes and your Kansas and whoever. But if they throw another dud of a hire in there, people are going to start looking at them like Indiana and UCLA.
and I don't think they're at that level yet. I didn't think Hubert Davis was a bad coach. He's just not good enough for North Carolina. I mean, they
No,
won,
he's not a bad coach,
what they
but
win 24, 25 games this year. They make the tournament every year.
Sure,
But
and it didn't help that their best player got hurt and they just sucked after that.
and you're right, but their expectation in North Carolina is Final Fours and national championships, and they're not doing that right now. Um, I think this is a big hire for them because they got to bring in somebody that shoots them back up to that level. They're not there right now. They've not fallen off a cliff by any means, but it's just what they were doing is not good enough for North Carolina. It's just not. Um, and that's what I was talking to Boston Matt the other day. I said, Rick Barnes has got Tennessee to the point. I think you and I may have talked about this too. He's got Tennessee to the point where I'm not saying they're a blue blood or anything like that, but he's built this program up where we should be able to go out and hire maybe not whoever we want, but attract some pretty good basketball coaches and be like, hey, that guy right there is a great coach. We need to go get him and not have to settle for some up and coming guy that's a top assistant. You just don't know. I mean, there's not Tommy Lloyd's out there everywhere. He was an assistant at Gonzaga for years. Um, but go out and find that next big head coach that's coming up. Or go out and hire an established head coach like Arkansas got Calipari. I'm not saying go get Calipari, but that elk. But I think he's got our program at a place now where people will be obviously and definitely interested in coaching here, where in the past it was not that way. We had to go get Bruce Pearl. Yeah, it turned out great, but who knew who Bruce Pearl was when they hired him? I mean, we had to go get that one year we went and got Buzz Peterson. Everybody only knew Buzz Peterson because he played basketball at North Carolina and he was Michael Jordan's roommate. He was a dud. Probably a good basketball coach. Not here. But like we're at that point now where we don't have to settle for well, everybody's turned us down. We're gonna have to go get Justin Gainey. Somebody, I'm not no slack on Justin Gainey. You know what I'm saying though.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, it was basketball season was topsy turvy this year. I think you and I both agree with that, and it was
Give it a
fresh.
give it a letter grade.
I give it a B plus. I honestly kind of wanted to give him an A, but I can't because of the overall body of work. But I think their late run here pushed him up to a B plus.
I think regular season was a B minus. I give the postseason an A. I'm gonna give this year an A minus. I mean, it's Elite Eight.
Yeah.
You're one of the final 8 teams left. Granted, you might have been the seventh best team in that ranking, more or less, just being non-biased. But you made it to the end of the second weekend, and I just don't know how you can give a letter grade that doesn't start with an A for that.
I
So
was just
I give
overall
you.
body. Yeah. Yeah. And
Well,
I,
I mean, I get what you're saying, but obviously March has way more weight than December, for example. Uh, I give the season an A minus, and it was heavily dependent on the ending.
I think besides the 2017-18 team, this was Rick Barnes' best coaching job because this roster was flawed. I think we all agree there was holes in it. I don't think it was well put together. Maybe they were just trying to punt and get to next year and build up some of these young guys because it was a young team for the most part. Um, but I think this was his best coaching job, and I think he did his some of his best work this year. The record and everything what probably wasn't his best on paper record, team record wise, but I think he got more out of this team than I remember at the start of the season. You and I talked, and maybe Day Day and some others like, "What do you expect out of this team?" I said, "They get to the Sweet 16." I'm not sure they can, and
Think about how much roster turnover we had coming into this year.
yeah,
Like it wasn't plug and play, but it kind of was,
a little bit.
And at the beginning of the year, that seemed kind of obvious. Kind of looked at times looked like a bunch of guys that never played basketball together.
They
And then
did.
they started to gel, and they still had their issues at certain points in the year. But yeah, I agree. I think it was a masterclass by Rick Barnes. I give a lot of credit to the players as well. A coach can only do what the players are willing to do, and if you're willing, a coach can do a lot. But shout out to them boys, man. Especially shout out to Gillespie. Kind of a cool story. Didn't get talked about enough. You know, coming back home for his senior year, and then obviously putting on a run to get us to the Elite Eight. Like it was cool for him, cool for a bunch of others. I ain't gonna get into everybody's entire role, but yeah, I,
One final note to lighten the mood here. Did you see JP Estrella try to dunk the ball late in the game? And he did this a couple times during the season. He almost tried to take off Harb from the, and if you haven't, go back and look. It was later in the second half. He tries to dunk the ball, basically jumping from the foul line, and he's coming up woefully short. He just basically just throws it like a baseball. It was one of the dumbest looking things I've ever seen on a basketball court, and that's saying a lot. Um, I was I think JP Estrella is a nice player. I was very disappointed in him this year. I know he was hurt at times. I get that. He's got to develop this offseason. He's got to take a step. He needs to be better. I was watching the game today. I mean, he just goes back and think through the whole season. I mean, how many times does that guy get rebounds around the basket and he misses the putbacks? How many times does that guy pick up a loose ball or get a rebound and it's taken from him? He's got so much potential, I think, and he can be such a good player, and he's shown it at times. But then there's other times he makes you want to bash your head into a concrete wall watching him play sometimes. But him this offseason, big offseason for him, Mari Evans, Bishop Boswell, how do they develop? Dwayne Brown. I'm excited to see where what step he takes in the offseason. He can be a nice player down low for Tennessee. I thought he had a really good year, but big offseason for Tennessee. Could be Rick Barnes' last offseason here. So I expect Tennessee to go all in and try to make another run next year and kick this door in. And I don't know where the Final Four is next year. Is it San Antonio, maybe? I can't remember. Um, but yeah, we'll see what they do. Real quick, Harb, before we check out of here, Tennessee baseball. What in the world? Swept it out, or Alabama, swept at Vanderbilt this weekend. Lost three one-run games, all in extra. Well, today wasn't in extras. They were walked off in the ninth, but um, lost three games in walk-off fashion, pretty much. So um, I am starting. We always said it's February, it's March. You can't. It's into March. It's time to become concerned. And there's a lot of baseball programs in this conference right now. LSU's struggling, Arkansas's up and down, Florida's not been great.
South Carolina fired their coach mid series.
South Carolina, not just mid-season, but mid-series, like in the
That's what
middle
I
of a
said.
weekend series.
I said, yeah.
But I've got some concerns about Tennessee. I've seen them in person three or four times now this year. Hope to be able to go this weekend now that I'm not going to Indianapolis. We host LSU at home Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's a lot of concern with this team right now, and I don't want to get too long-winded here because this show's gone really long, but um, their offense is all over the place. They strike out a lot. Then when the offense is good, their defense and pitching lets them down. Um, I have questioned. I'm trying to be patient with him. Josh Elander, some of the decision making that he's made so far this year with pitching changes and lineup and things like that. It's like, who's got this guy's ear? Like, who's he listening to? It's his coaches, I know, but um, man, and I get it. He's not Tony Vitello, but this was going to be the same team Tony Vitello had if he was here. Um, And what in the world between Tennessee and San Francisco? San Francisco, I don't know what they did today, but their previous three games, they scored one run. And Vitello looks miserable. If you look at him in his press conferences, he looks like he's wore out already. Um, you see everybody online, people calling in Basilio, no shows. Time to fire Elander. It, ah, I'm not at that point. Like this guy deserves some time. He's earned it. But I have a lot of concerns about this team. They're super talented, but they're very young. They're making a ton of mistakes. They don't hit for power. They strike out a lot. Their defense is mediocre at best. Um, I don't know, Harb. What do you think?
It's it's frustrating. Because it's not like they're getting mollywopped when they go out there.
They're losing games by one run.
They are, they're
Yeah.
out there. And if you're only listening and you're not watching, un poquito, about a little bit. And
Oh,
but that is partially where you start to look at coaching decisions. When every game you lose is by one run. Like you look at the Georgia series. I don't think we've recorded since the Georgia series. Maybe we have.
we recorded right after.
That was one of the better college baseball series you'll ever watch. It was exciting. It was fun. Every game could have won, or both teams could have won every single game.
Remember, we said it. We did the math. It ended even in runs scored. They both scored.
Yeah,
They won by zero margin.
yeah, and then you look at this weekend, we get swept, and we get outscored by 3 runs.
Yeah.
This team knows how to lose when it's 1-0. This team knows how to lose when it's 16-15. It's we're not used to this recently with this baseball program. And last weekend, you got 2 out of 3 from Missouri, which that was good.
Yeah.
Um, but now you're 3-6 in the conference, and it's time to buckle up because Vanderbilt this year is not Vanderbilt of past. They're not bad, but they're not Vanderbilt.
But they've lost a ton of midweek games.
Yeah, and like you said, on Friday you lose in extras. On Saturday you lose in 16. And then you invent a way to lose this game, which this game was on Sunday was bonkers. It was just high scoring. It was crazy all over the face. I forget the player's name who got hit in the face. I really hope he's okay.
Stone Lawless.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any updates, but he took a 90-mile-an-hour fastball off his noggin.
orbital.
Orbital.
Yeah, yeah, like not helmet.
Yeah.
Um, so prayers up to him. Hope he's okay. Um, yeah, I mean, you go in the bottom of the ninth on the road, and you're up 15-10. First of all, it's a slow pitch score. That's Mafia versus Knox Cox,
Yes.
and
I don't know if either of those teams would score that much.
I wasn't really watching. It was during the basketball game. I was working. I was busy. But you load the bases, 15-10, no outs. I believe we changed pitchers at that point. And then you give up a double, I think.
I
15
didn't. I was watching basketball. I did not see
You
it.
give up a couple base knocks, maybe a walk here and there. It's 15-12. Bases loaded, 2 out, 1 or 2 outs. I don't remember. Now I made a joke to some people sitting at the bar. Didn't know him. I was like, well, wouldn't it be fitting today if we blew this shit right here? Next thing you know, old boy golfs one in the left field. And somebody was like, you got to be kidding me. You spoke that into existence. And I was like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, you plunked the batter before him to load the bases, and then
Exactly. Yeah.
threw the
Yeah.
ball right over the middle of the plate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, it's like the Georgia series on Sunday. you pimp a homer just for it to get robbed. That's how you lose a series. And then you take a 5 run lead in the bottom of the ninth. I don't care what the score is, Nice. It could be 30 to 25. I don't give a shit what it is. If you have a 5 run lead and you've only got to get 3 people out, you should always win
Yeah.
the baseball game.
I would love to see what the win probability was going into that inning for Tennessee.
I don't even think about that, dude. It's
They
just,
only recorded one out. They only got one out.
it's,
And this team, like, early in the game probably going into that ninth inning should have been worse than 15-10. Tennessee had like just mind-numbing errors earlier in that game that cost them 3, 4, 5 runs. The way Tennessee's bats was swinging today, you take that away, this game should have been like 15-6 going into the ninth. Maybe 15-5 or 4. If they just clean up some of that stuff. But that's the thing with this team. They're not complimenting each other. Neither side, you know what I'm saying? Like the defense isn't complimenting the offense and the pitching and vice versa. They got figured out. Vanderbilt's not very good this year, or as good as they have been, I should say. LSU is way off from where they've been. They're coming to town this weekend. We got to find a way to take advantage of this. And they got to start stringing some series wins together. We don't have to sweep. Win 2 out of 3. That's a successful weekend in this conference. Um, but they better figure it out soon. Weekends are starting to slip away. This was weekend number 3. You only got 6 left. You played 10 SEC series. You played 3 so far, so you got 7 left. Sorry, Carter math.
yeah. It is right there. And when it's right there, we do have a first year coach that has not been a head coach before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's growing pains, but I'll only be pissed about it if we don't learn from these mistakes and we continue to make the same ones. I'm not going to sit and pretend like I've watched every inning of every game and I can rattle off certain mistakes. But you've played 9 conference games and you've lost at least five at least 5 games by 1 run. Sometimes you just get beat, and that's fine. But 5 out of your 6 losses being by 1 run, it's like that. Like decision making is, under probability's sake, is under like that's the main focal point. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you got talent on the roster. Sometimes this team don't hit. Sometimes this team scores a million runs. I don't know.
You, you know
Baseball's weird.
you know whose fault this is though.
Yours?
It's Danny White.
Oh, oh,
I
yeah.
mean, anytime something bad happens now. So I've gotten to this thing where
Text a buddy.
yeah, I text a buddy, but Danny White, anytime he tweets anything, just go to the comments. He tweeted today, super Tennessee basketball posted final score, great season, whatever, and he posted really proud of this program, the players, the coaches, heck of a run, super positive tweet, really congratulating the guys on a great season. You go down to the comments, you suck, you're a moron. Why did you destroy the baseball program? We don't win at anything since you. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I'm so sick and tired of the Danny White stuff. It's like these losers and these trolls on X and Vol Twitter, whatever you want to call it. My God, they're so insufferable. I'm so sick and tired of it. Um, it's like that man's got a tough job. He's trying to put winning athletic programs out on the field while trying to navigate and maintain through this new NIL and portal era and all this money they're having to deal with. And he's trying to get creative as all these ADs are and find ways to bring in revenue. And just all Tennessee fans want to do is just bitch at the guy. And I guess that's part of the job. I'm just so sick and tired of that. Like if Danny White tweeted, "God is good, thankful for today," whatever, just go look at his comments. They'd be so negative. And 3 years ago, he was the darling of this town and this state. Now everybody wants his head on a spike and rode out of town. Um. Anyways, Tennessee versus LSU this weekend was kind of when a schedule came out. I had season tickets. I was like, "Oh man, this is a big weekend series." Um. It's like it's going to be a tough ticket. It's going to be exciting. Now here LSU's not very good. Tennessee's all over the place. It's supposed to rain all weekend. In the words of Michael Scott, how could it get any worse, Harbin? What a day. What a day here on Sunday, March 29th.
Hey, just always remember, it can always be worse.
You could be a Kentucky fan.
Yeah, could you imagine?
Can you imagine
Could you
being a
imagine
Kentucky
having 20 over $20 million just dedicated on your roster and having a former player be your coach
God.
and not be able to get out of the first round? Could you imagine?
Yeah,
I
shouldn't have
couldn't.
gotten out of the first round.
I couldn't imagine.
I mean,
Oway hit a 35-footer to get out of the first round.
that's how pathetic they are.
You could be by
And
20.
it's crazy too if you look at like posts and stuff from this weekend. There ain't no Michigan fans tweeting at us. It's just Kentucky and Georgia.
Yeah, zero Final Fours. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no, another year, no Final Four. Them losers. Go back to the mines, mouth breathers. God, I can't stand them. All
Yeah.
right, everybody. It's getting
I've started calling them headlamps.
headline.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start wearing this to Kentucky, Tennessee games. Oh,
Strap you an LED on it.
I got one. I'll put on it.
Yeah.
So Harb and I've been going here for I think about
Well
uh
over 2 hours.
yeah 2 hours. So you ask for a show and you shall receive a super show.
Super show.
Appreciate everybody listening. Remember to like and subscribe down there on the bottom if you're watching. And appreciate if you're listening to the show in your truck or piece of equipment or bike. If you're Chad Grubb riding your bike down the road, if you're listening to us, thanks for doing that. um, that's all I got, Harb. I'm done.
Heard that.
All right. Well, whenever we see you guys again.
I have a closing thought.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, totally random, but it is sports related. Kevin Durant recently passed Michael Jordan
Oh my God.
on
I don't
the
want
all-time scoring list. And on the day that he passed Michael Jordan, he has 2,700 less career field goal attempts than Michael Jordan did. And just answer me, is that your GOAT?
who? Kevin Durant?
No, the one that you claim to be your GOAT. Is that your
Yeah,
GOAT?
Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time.
And Kevin Durant's got more points than him, and he's shot it literally almost 3,000 times less.
I don't care. I don't care. This started last night. I was fuming last night. Stupid Hayes.
For y'all that don't know, we have a group chat that gets quite contentious sometimes. Some of you do know, some of you don't.
If
That was
you
a
know, you
topic of
know.
conversation last night, and I believe it was probably brought to you by True Moo chocolate milk. And that was one of the topics of conversation. That one, that one got the people going.
I think there were chocolate milks on both ends that got, I know it got me going.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I hardly ever take up for Austin Hayes. He just presented a fact. He presented a fact.
And then he's threw in something about John Havlicek. He won 9 NBA titles. Is he the GOAT? No. Steve Kerr won 5.
Robert Ory's got 7.
Yeah. Big Shot Bob.
My goat's got 11.
Who's that?
Bill Russell.
Oh, Bill Russell,
Yeah,
who I think is one of the top 5 players of all time.
yeah, and he
But
ain't 5.
oh Lord, we need to. Serious. I want to start a new podcast. Grow
By the
back.
way, Michael Jordan fans would think that LeBron's legacy would be better if he would have lost in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2007, 2011, 2015, 2018, or 2017, 2018. If he'd be 4-0 in the finals, his legacy would be better. If he would have failed to gotten there 6 more times, his legacy would be better.
This is my GOAT right here,
I ain't arguing with you on that.
Larry Legend.
As a Larry Bird action figure, for those that
Yes.
are listening, Niece was trying to do bad podcasting there.
Also have a Clyde Drexler,
Clyde, Clyde.
and only the true ones will know this.
Oh, that's not ball knowledge. That's Kevin McHale.
Kevin McHale.
Hmm. That's not ball knowledge. I know you've seen that guy on Instagram, the ball knowledge guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Kevin McHale,
Yeah, I've
not
got
ball
these.
knowledge.
I found these during the winter when I was cleaning out some stuff. And I was like, oh, I wish they were still in the box, but I've set them here on my mantle. This is the best one though. Larry Bird. Um, all right, Harvey, I'm tired. It's been a long day, long weekend. This tournament wears you out.
Yeah, and then you end it with a swift kick in the nuts.
We talked about this when I was growing up, you
You do have
two.
the 4 best teams playing the 4 best basketball.
Yeah.
I am happy to see that we were playing very good. We
But to,
weren't
to
part of the
be,
pool.
but I remember growing up and I was like craving Tennessee just to make the tournament. I remember that first year under Jerry Green, um, they made it as an 8 seed, lost to Illinois State in an 8-9 game at the buzzer. But it was like, God, we're in the tournament, and now it's the expectation to be in the tournament, and it's like I don't want to take that for granted,
Yeah.
and we all should remember that. Even though I do want us to go to the Final Four,
Well,
but
yeah. Yeah.
anyways, appreciate everybody listening. I'm gonna go edit this thing and get it out to you, the people. Um,
We the people.
Harb, appreciate you coming on. Great show.
Thanks
About
for having
time
me.
to uh, about time to start getting prepared for the Straw Plains Open.
Yeah, I've been knocking the rust off here recently. Been doing what I can.
There you go.
Yeah.
I saw you visited the Southern Swing.
I did. Shout out Southern Swing, by the way. Very, very, very nice new indoor facility uh, close to downtown Knoxville. So,
Yep, just open. So,
mhm.
all right. Appreciate everybody listening. For Harb, I'm Nease, and we will see you next time on the Section YY8 podcast.